Thanks so much for joining us. A major step toward Middle East peace has been made today in Washington, D.C. Israel and Lebanon have signed a peace deal. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio calls the deal a framework, a first step toward peace.
The people of Lebanon have suffered tremendously now for decades as a result of outside interference in their affairs, of countries trying to use the country as a launch pad for attacks. And this is not what the people of Lebanon want, and that's not what they deserve. What they deserve to have is what they once had, and of which there is recent history of, and that is a prosperous and peaceful country. And it will take a lot of work and some time to get back to that point. But we believe today is the first step in that journey. And the first step is sometimes the hardest step, but it's the one we're taking together today. Obviously, the people of Israel deserve to live in peace and security. The people of northern Israel in particular, who have been targeted repeatedly by terrorist attacks launched from the territory of Lebanon, but not by the Lebanese people, not by the Lebanese government, but by an outside actor.
The officials did not share details on the agreement that was signed by Michael Leiter, the Israeli ambassador to the U.S., and Nada Hamadeh, ambassador of Lebanon to the United States. And while there's talk of peace in one area of the Middle East, there is unrest in another. The U.S. attacked Iran Friday in what is believed to be a retaliation for an Iranian drone attack on a ship Thursday in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. President Donald Trump has called the drone attack a foolish violation of their ceasefire agreement. Today, according to U.S. Central Command, an American aircraft struck Iranian missiles and drone storage locations, as well as coastal radar sites. Rescue efforts continue in parts of Venezuela devastated by two massive earthquakes this week. Authorities say the quakes have killed at least 589 people and left thousands injured. Independent registries estimate up to 40,000 people are likely missing. One of the hardest hit areas was the city of La Guaira, where people are trying to rescue their children.
Horrible. Hemos visto demasiado. Y luchando para sacar a los niños con la esperanza de conseguirlo vivo. Sacamos a uno, eran los tres, pero sacamos uno que salió vivo, gracias a Dios, pero ellos no llegamos.
The United Nations has urged Venezuela to lift social media restrictions to help Venezuelans abroad access information about their families. With cell service still out, many are turning to social media and online registries to search for missing persons. Global Affairs Canada officials are not aware of any Canadians affected by the quakes, but are in touch with regional partners and aid groups to contribute to humanitarian efforts. Prime Minister Mark Carney has declined to provide an estimate of the cost of renovations to the PM's former official residence at 24 Sussex Drive in Ottawa. Carney says the budget is part of a competitive process to restore the residence, and that competitive process starts now. Friday, outside the residence, Carney announced a national design competition and fundraising campaign to restore the structure.
24 Sussex Drive is more than a residence. It's greater than a mere backdrop to history. It's a symbol of the public office of the head of our federal government and of the democratic traditions that office represents. And yet, it has not been cared for with the respect that it deserves. And after decades of deferred maintenance and neglect, this house sits empty. It's been uninhabitable for more than a decade. Now, for years, many have agreed that 24 Sussex should be saved, but it was left to language, and so the damage spread, and the repair costs climbed. And now it's in critical condition. So today, our government is acting to renew this building, restore this institution, preserve our history, protect our heritage and traditions for generations to come, because that continuity matters. Today, we're launching a national design and build competition to restore 24 Sussex Drive, to become, once again, a secure, accessible, and sustainable official residence and a working venue for Canada's future prime ministers.
You're going to be crowdfunding to restore one of the most famous addresses in the country. What conversations did you have about what could go wrong? I'm thinking possible foreign influence, perceptions that wealthy donors could be currying favors to the government. And how specifically do you plan to address that? Will you make the list of donors public?
The list of donors will be public. There will be a limit. The limit will be, well, the Reno Hall Foundation will make the final. We'll make this public, but the thinking is the limit would be 10% of the overall amount raised or a specific cap.
Carney says donations would only be from individuals or philanthropic organizations. No corporate donations would be accepted. The 35-room mansion was built in 1867 and 1868 as a private residence, but was expropriated in 1949 to serve as the Prime Minister's official residence. It was abandoned in 2015 due to structural issues. And while we're on the topic of costly renovations, after a 10-year multi-million-dollar refurbishment program, Buckingham Palace is opening its doors to increased public access. But now there are reports that after all that work, it will no longer be a royal residence. We get more from Danica Kirka with the Associated Press.
We're here at Buckingham Palace, which has been the home of the British monarch for some 200 years. Until now. King Charles and Queen Camilla have decided they're not moving back into Buckingham Palace when $369 million worth of renovation gets completed next year. Now, royal officials insist that this is going to still be Monarchy HQ. But Monarchy HQ isn't quite the same as King's Castle, which is really what Buckingham Palace has been up until now, especially with that famous balcony. That famous balcony is where the kisses of the newlywed royals happen, the babies are presented, the king and queen adoringly look up into the sky and watch the red arrows go past, where George VI offered the royal wave at the end of World War II. It's going to be kind of hard to match that to Monarchy HQ. Buckingham Palace really did need some renovation, though. It had been a long time since it had electrical work, heat work, just the general renovation of a building that was built in the 1820s. But the palace is spinning this as the way to bring the public more back into the palace, perhaps increase the number of times a year you can visit.
About 700,000 people visited Buckingham Palace last year. Closer to home, the Alberta Serious Incident Response Team, also known as ACERT, is being called in to investigate a shooting involving Calgary police. Last Sunday, officers responded to reports of an erratic driver near Deerfoot Meadows Shopping Center. They located the vehicle heading northbound on Deerfoot Trail between Memorial Drive and 16th Avenue Northeast. Police used their vehicles to stop the SUV in the far left lane. Police eventually stopped traffic in both directions and tried speaking with the female driver, but she remained in her vehicle. Police believed she was armed with a knife. About 20 minutes later, officers approached the passenger side of the vehicle, broke a window, and deployed pepper spray. The woman then exited the vehicle and moved towards officers. In a sequence of events that are still under investigation, officers used a projectile launcher and a taser, while another officer fired a police rifle. Police recovered a knife. The woman was rushed to hospital but later died. ACERT's investigation will examine the actions of police, including the force used during the incident. 3 people have been arrested and charged by RCMP over a series of thefts and mischief in our region targeting copper wire. On May 29th, Mounties say they saw 3 people attempting to steal irrigation equipment from a property near Vauxhall. The suspects attempted to flee in 2 separate vehicles. Police arrested 1 suspect after a vehicle got caught in a field. A substantial amount of copper wire was found in that vehicle. The other vehicle began to dangerously speed through rural highways and secondary roads before it was disabled with a tire deflation device. A man and woman were also arrested with copper wire in their possession. Police have confirmed these suspects were involved in other thefts in Lethbridge County, Newell County, and the municipal district of Tabor. The May 29th theft resulted in $96,000 in damage to the irrigation equipment, which could lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost crop revenue. Lethbridge Lethbridge resident David Dick, along with Gerhard Martins and Kaylee Grisdale, both from Raymond, face multiple charges. The three were released following a judicial interim hearing on June 23rd, which was adjourned to July 14th at the Alberta Court of Justice in Taber. With the economy continuing to impact many families, municipalities across southern Alberta are working to keep their communities affordable while attracting investment and supporting local growth. Well, the town of Coaldale recently published its 2025 comparative analysis, highlighting its efforts to maintain low operating costs, create a competitive tax environment, and encourage both residential and business investment.
When we're looking at things like taxation, for instance, town of Coaldale kind of stands out among its peers and regional neighbors for having reduced its residential mill rate by 14.4% over the last 4 years. And we've also seen a reduction of 2.3% in the non-residential mill rate over that same period, which helps attract investment and also attracts residents. In Coaldale, our population grew by 4% between 2020 and 2024. Granted, this is a lower population growth metric than what you're seeing in neighboring Lethbridge or Taber. This is largely due to the fact that Coaldale had a vacancy rate of about 0% for the last 5 years in the rental market. And also we've had a limited supply of middle market housing. And so we expect that in the coming years, we'll see Coaldale's population grow by quite a bit. We have a couple subdivisions going in right now and expect to see upwards of 1,500 to 2,000 people moving here in the next few years. And then finally, when it comes to crime severity, Coaldale ranks as the safest municipality its size in Alberta. For this report, we look at municipalities between the population of 8,000 and 11,000. And so Coaldale, for a municipality that size, ranks as the safest in Alberta, and then the third safest municipality its size in Western Canada, and the 10th safest municipality its size in the country.
The full 2025 comparative analysis is available on the Town of Coaldale's website. If you're a fan of Shakespeare and of theater, boy, are you in luck. A new edition of Shakespeare in the Park is coming to Lethbridge this summer to more than a dozen outdoor sites. The Lethbridge Shakespeare Performance Society will present 14 productions of King Lear across the city and southern Alberta. A story the society is diving into for the first time. It depicts a fictional king as he attempts to split his kingdom between his three daughters based on how much each of them professes their love for him, which leads to disastrous results.
King Lear has got a lot of action. I think that's one of the big things, is that it has a lot of sword fights. So we have Keith Miller, who is a local fight choreographer, doing the fight choreography for us. Often when we're doing the Shakespeare in the Park performances, the Lethbridge Shakespeare Performance Society shows, we're doing the comedies. For example, last year we did Love's Labour's Lost. We've done things like Midsummer Night's Dream, some of the more lighter romantic comedies. King Lear is not that. It is very much a tragedy, and it is very much about large human emotions and passions and generational trauma, really.
420 years later, we're still doing his shows. Why? Because they still speak to us. And because they speak to us, we do them, right? It's not that we're doing them because, we should and this is, our obligation. No, we do them because they're cool. They resonate with people. People still go, oh yeah, that Romeo and Juliet, we like them.
The opening show is scheduled for July 2nd at the Galt Gardens Amphitheater, and shows are scheduled through until August the 8th. Taking part in a friendly competition to raise funds for those in need is both generous and inspiring. The Battle of the Badges returns to Spitz Stadium this Saturday as members of the Lethbridge Police Service and Lethbridge Fire and Emergency Services face off once again in their annual charity softball game.
The support this event receives year after year demonstrates the strength of the community. Every ticket from this event goes towards very worthy local causes. With the Lethbridge Firefighters Charities, the money is going towards making some changes in the pediatric ward, making some comforts for the patients there, and the LPS the money is going to the Special Olympics. The community has given us extra support over the past couple of months, and this gives us a chance to give back. Whether we're on duty or off duty, both us and LPS job job is to give back to the community and provide that support for the community. So it's a really worthwhile event.
So really excited for this event. You're going to see some friendly rivalry between us, LPS and LFD, but also highlights the strong working relationship that we have between all the emergency services here in the city.
Lethbridge Police Team, which will be Team Blue, take on the Lethbridge Fire Team, which is Team Red. The gates are going to open at 4:30 here at the stadium, and first pitch is scheduled to go right around 6 o'clock. The Lethbridge Bulls are proud to host this annual Battle of the Badges game at Spitz Stadium. We bring together the first responders, local charities, baseball and softball fans. Is exactly what community baseball is all about. This year's matchup will feature 7 innings of play, along with special police and fire themed entertainment between the second and third innings.
Attendees can enjoy a variety of activities, including themed concession items, a 50-50 raffle, and a silent auction featuring custom police and fire jerseys. With soccer fans around the world gripped with World Cup fever, some U.S. churches are taking the opportunity to use this global sporting event to spread the gospel. We get more in this report from Peter Wooding with the Global News Alliance.
As World Cup fever sweeps across the globe, thousands of churches across many nations are taking the opportunity of this major sporting event to reach out to their communities, including at Grace Community Church in the Seattle area that hosted an evangelistic watch party for the USA v Paraguay game. Their pastor is former professional soccer player Jesse Bradley, who's part of a World Cup outreach campaign called Victory Beyond the Cup.
We provide free physical kits, and that includes watch party supplies and resources, a prayer book, bracelets, a ball, and then also digital kits. We train people how to share their faith, how to tell the story of Jesus and the gospel.
As well as these resources, they're also producing regular podcasts that feature the testimonies of Christian players, including with Mark McKenzie from the USA team.
I am a vessel for him, and when I go and represent the national team, I'm not representing just myself. I'm representing him first and foremost, representing my family and loved ones, and who have sacrificed so much to help me get to where I am today.
And Victory Beyond the Cup has already distributed 45,000 watch party kits. Peter Wooding reporting for the Global News Alliance.
And by the way, Canada has advanced to the World Cup knockout stage for the first time. They play a do-or-die match Sunday in Los Angeles against South Africa. Go, Canada, go.
Sean Haney here with RealAgriculture.com. A potential U.S.-Iran peace deal could shake up global grain markets, and Canadian farmers need to be paying attention. The Trump administration is eyeing Iran as a massive new destination for American corn and soybeans. While critics call the move politically controversial, it could heavily impact our export potential right here back at home. Canada has quietly done business there for decades, consistently shipping $300 to $400 million worth of lentils, wheat, and chickpeas to Iran. If a deal goes through, a rising tide could dramatically boost demand for premium Canadian crops. But if Washington forces an exclusive, heavy-handed deal to unlock those frozen billions, it could completely crowd Canada out of the market. It's a high-stakes waiting game for our ag sector, and the line between a massive new market win and getting locked out entirely is razor thin. For Bridge City News, I'm Sean Haney with RealAgriculture.com.
Canadian miner Sherritt International is shutting down its Alberta refinery. The shutdown comes after running out of the feed inventory it receives from its Moa mine in Cuba, paused earlier this year as the country faced fuel shortages since the U.S. cut off access to oil from Venezuela in January. The shutdown at the refinery in Fort Saskatchewan, Alberta, will continue until mining and processing activities at Moa resume and the refinery feed pipeline is rebuilt. The company says it's in talks with its lenders, noting it would be unable to repay all or a material portion of its debt if it becomes due earlier than its stated maturity. Apple has announced price increases for Macs and iPads, citing a memory chip shortage driven by the artificial intelligence boom. The California-based company called the demand spike an unprecedented challenge for the consumer electronics industry. In Canada, the entry-level MacBook Neo will now cost about $150 more. Increases to other Mac and iPad products range from $200 to $800. Analysts expect iPhone prices to rise again later this year. And now here's a look at today's markets.
The TSX was up 129 to 34,980. The Dow is down 44 to 51,876. The S&P 500 was down 3 to 7,354, and the Nasdaq was down 60 to 25,297. West Texas Intermediate oil was down 169 to 70.22 US per barrel. Natural gas was down a cent to 3.28 US. Gold was up 57.77 to 40.8491 US an ounce, and silver was up 131 to 59.16 US per barrel. Feed wheat is at $8.02 per bushel. Barley is at $6.50. Canola is at $16.85, and corn is at $7.37 per bushel. Live cattle were up 5 cents to $257.45. Feeder cattle August contract was down $3.45 to $369.85. Lean hog July contract was up 22 cents to $92.92. And the Canadian dollar was up over the past 24 hours and currently sits at $70.50 US.
Recapping one of today's top stories, Israel and Lebanon have signed a framework agreement that the U.S. is calling a first step toward peace. While no details have been released, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the framework would allow Lebanese forces to eventually take control of territory from Israel's military. Recently, a special joint committee on medical assistance in dying, or MAID, tabled a report in which recommended the indefinite pause to expand the practice of euthanasia to those suffering with mental illness. Daniel Zekveld with ARPA Canada will share what this could mean for our country. That is coming up next. Also, when you see news happening in your community, be sure to send us an email at info@bridgecitynews.ca. You can also visit our website or our YouTube channel anytime to check out more of our content, as well as our poll questions.